Hello and welcome back to the channel. Haven't heard that one in a while, have you? I am Justice, joined here by Terra Master, Drake, and Cursive for state of, well, not quite state of speed, but it is the state of Judgment Gaming. And with that, I'm just gonna hand it over to Drake. Tell these fine people why we're here and what we're doing today.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I think it's been 6 months since the last podcast. And as Justice said, this isn't exactly a state of speed. This is a state of judgment. We're going to be going over what we've all been up to. Some of us have new projects we're working on that we want to talk about. Some of us have just been playing other games. But at first, we do have to talk a little bit about Speed Duel because the new set is actually pretty interesting. So I'm gonna let Terr Master go first and see what he has to say about the new Speed Duel set.
Hey, Masters of Speed! It's Terra Master, and we've got elemental hero Neos coming to Speed Duel. Thanks to a couple of members on our team, notably DG Kun. We know some of what's in the set, so appreciate that. And I especially personally appreciate it because I have learned that there's elemental hero Neos, a good skill to go with him. There's Prisma, which, as you know, we have done videos on this channel saying, hey, man, wouldn't Prisma be cool? Yes, the answer has always been yes.
They finally watched your video.
Yeah, they finally watched your video. It's too late now, morons.
Yeah, I know, right? They waited too long.
Yeah, we've got Grand Mole. We've got, I already said Miracle Fusion. There's Dyna Base, which is a card I'd never seen before, but it's a cool card. So, like...
Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah, another one that we asked for a long time ago. But the point
Sakura
is,
2 armor.
Wait, that's in there too. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
See?
it is.
Yeah. So
Are we past the trap hole threshold yet?
No, trap hole will still be too good.
No, trap hole is
too
still
We're not quite to trap hole level yet, but we're close.
Yeah. See, trap hole is immune to Joey, so it can't come.
That's so true. Yeah, Joey counters Saku. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. That would make the format too fast. But no, seriously, I think we're finally at a point where, like, if I was still to play the game competitively, I think at a competitive level, this is obviously purely like speculation, right? Like, what can I guess off of where it is? It would be at a point where it's finally not too slow but not too fast, right? Where, like, advanced is too fast. For I think a lot of Speed Duel players agree with this. Whereas Speed Duel historically, like, say 6 months ago, a year ago, you know, when we were still, like, active, was too slow, right? Or it was too fast when it was your opponent drops double moth and you're dead and game's over. And that lasted all of 45 seconds. So,
Good times.
yeah. It's always been too slow, too fast. And I feel like we're finally...
As the moth player.
Yeah. Yeah, we're finally getting to a point where it wouldn't be either one. So I think that's really cool. I will be playing some games against whoever on the team is willing to, just for fun. I do emphasize the just for fun part of it. Nobody will be hitting record. Nobody will be entering a tournament, or I will not be entering a tournament. So, yeah, this will be purely for entertainment purposes, as, you know, a lot of times gaming should be. I think sometimes I kind of lost sight of that personally. I did when I was, like, constantly trying to stream and record everything playing Speed Duel. I think it's important to remember that sometimes, that sometimes you just play for fun. I think even competing, like, it's important to remember where sometimes you should just play just for the sake of having fun with it, rather than necessarily trying to win a certain prize or something like that.
Play the jank deck.
Yeah, play the jank deck. Have some fun. Go nuts.
Play heroes. It might not be good, but hey, if you're going to enjoy it, that's...
We're fighting words.
Fighting words.
That's a great transition to Drake. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So, of the four of us, I am the one that is considering playing Speed Duel again, because this is the coolest set, I think, this is probably the coolest set in Speed Duel ever.
In history.
But at least in
the original Battle City.
Yeah, at least in the last year and a half, this is probably the coolest set, because we had midterms, that was a dud, and then we had Duels of Shadows, which didn't really change up the meta too much. And then we had Streets, which impacted the meta, but most people would agree it was a negative way because it was just my precious queens winning everything.
Yeah,
That's not really like a healthy format. But no, this set's very cool because it's got all the cards Terra talked about. You've got DG Kun showed me this Neos deck where you can go activate a hero lives, special Prisma. Activate Prisma's effect to change his name to Neos. And then you can special summon Dynabase from your hand because it meets the condition of you having less life points than your opponent. And that's just a fusion right there. Doesn't use polymerization. And you get Brave Neos, which is a pretty solid card. Which is going to have, I think, at least 2,700 attack already on turn 1 because you have 2 heroes in your graveyard. And if it destroys the opponent's monster by battle, you search the card next, which is actually a very good trap. So like this is the power level I'm more interested in when it comes to playing Speed Duel. I wasn't a fan of Summon Banisher, set some back row pass. That's not exciting to me. But this is like, okay, I'm special summoning, I'm fusion summoning, I'm triggering monster effects. I'm searching a powerful trap that could even be used as a hand trap if I don't have a board. If my opponent clears my board or something, I now have this hand trap to rebuild. It's pretty interesting. And then there's also the Fossil deck. It's pretty neat.
That Cursive had to walk away because of his oven, but I just absolutely love the fact that it was perfectly timed. You saying, and now we have a hand trap. Cursive just slowly.
Yeah, and Cursive's like, oh no, I can't handle hand traps.
Hand traps? No, I'm out.
Cursive's just getting his food ready. But yeah, there's the Fossil Fusion deck. Looks pretty interesting. They have a good skill as well, and their fusion monsters are neat. So that's another deck I would be willing to try out. Speaking of Prisma in general, Dragoon might be the best it's ever been. I don't know. I haven't tested anything yet. But hey, that card makes Dragoon a lot easier a lot more consistently than we previously could make a Dragoon. And now you can even play Hero Lives in your Dragoon deck. So that's cool too. But yeah, we also got Card Trooper, Dandelion, Grand Mole, like lots of cool stuff. And it's only a half set. And we got all this cool stuff. And it's like some of their full-size sets, we didn't get that many cool cards. But yeah, new staples, new decks, stuff to support old decks. We got Cyberdark Cannon. So that could even be a deck now, potentially. We got Fossil Dyna, which honestly, Speed Duel players might be sleeping on how insane that card is because it's very good in Advanced. It's very good in Edison. It's been very good in many formats in Advanced in the past. And keep in mind, there's no main phase 2. So let's say you summon a Fossil Dyna and you put protection behind it, and you're playing against Cyber Angels. Now, even if they have a way to out it, which would be like back row removal plus a Senju or something, right? That could attack over the Dyna. You don't have a main phase 2 to summon your Cyber Angels. So the Fossil Dyna still did its job.
Yep.
And you can also set Fossil Dyna too. It has that effect as well. But yeah, that card's pretty annoying. And then Grand Mole. So basically what I'm getting at is Ratbox might be a pretty powerful deck.
Fossil Dyna.
Yeah, because it got Fossil Dyna.
That's what he was on.
It got Fossil
Like I
Dyna.
never left.
Yeah. You heard it all. And they also got Dandelion. And Dandelion with Token Sunday is potentially a good combo. So yeah, there's like lots of cool decks to try out. Like at the power level, I would want to play. I was not a Moth hater, but I understand why so many people were. I was just more of a hater of, Summon Banisher, set some back row. That's just way too basic and slow. Not very complex, I guess. I like making decisions and yeah.
Just to jump on the not a Moth hater though. Didn't you get in like during Battle City Box? You weren't here like during like peak Moth, like it was nothing but Moth, like it was Moth.
So I played during all the formats, but I was just playing at locals. And when I started competing, it was after the skills got eroded. So it was after Twisted Personality and what was the other one? Inner Conflict.
Yeah, he wasn't competing when it was Trials format, and it was just
right. Right. Yeah. So no, the first one I was like competing in bigger events was it was like Moth format versus Burn. Those were like the two real decks. And I thought that format was fine. It also wasn't very long because we got a limited list not long after, and that was fun for a while too. But then, in my personal opinion, the next like 3 sets were boring, or maybe even toxic. Um, but yeah, no, I'm excited to try it out. I'm not committing to being like, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming back, but I'm definitely gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try it out. And as far as content on this channel for Speed Duel, if there is any, well, Terra Master and Cursive aren't going to be in it. They'll get into that later in this. So it would kind of just be me solo making a video, maybe DG Kun helping me out, maybe different guests. And it wouldn't be the twice a week schedule we used to have. It might be once a week or once a month. Just as I feel like there's something worth saying about Speed Duel or showing off about Speed Duel.
I mean, like, honestly, that's the way like content should be, like, in general, right? Like, you don't want to be making, you know, like, garbage content just because you're trying to pump stuff out. I mean, I think we've all tried that, especially with like Speed Duel and a 6-month release schedule. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So I think you know, when there's something cool to show off is like really the only time you're gonna make something that's quality in reality anyway.
Yeah, Justice knows we'd have to spend what 8 weeks or 10 weeks or something like that just doing like, what could we get?
What's in the box?
Best case, worst case, medium case.
Like, I mean, credit to us because those videos actually usually did well. So like, it was a good idea.
People love that, man.
Yeah,
but it was very specifically, well, we don't have really a whole lot to talk about currently, so we have to, you know, create a lot of content about what's in the future, because that's always what gets people most excited is, you know, what could be coming, like what's the new stuff going to be. So yeah.
Terr Master, I just really like thought about the fact that you're the only one here without a pet. You really need to join in, man. The odd man out here.
Get a turtle at least.
Dude, yeah, just get a turtle. Like, come on.
Listen. I am my own pet. Okay, I have to.
Okay.
Gotta take care of myself here.
I don't think you take yourself on enough walks, to be honest.
That's probably true.
Damn, called out.
That's probably true. I do have a little bit of extra weight I'm carrying around. I need to get on that. So. Appreciate you looking out, brother.
I mean, same, honestly. So.
Yeah.
It's funny to say because Terra Master is the only one that we can't all see right now. So.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the master plan.
Oh, the Terra Master plan? Damn. All right. Nobody's also ever seen me play, if you know that joke. So there's that going too. Anyway, I think Justice, you want to go now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep mine really short. I have no intention of getting back into Speed Duel, but from what I've seen and heard from basically all of you guys, it does sound like this could be one of like the best things they've done for the game in a long time. So it's still, as someone who was obviously very heavily involved with Speed Duel for several years, it's still good to see. Like I'm glad for the community for that. I don't think there's really anything they can do at this point that would bring me back, but I am glad for the community to see that like they're still trying and like cool stuff is being added. It's like actually worth being excited about.
Yeah. No, I agree. Right. Like, I might get into Speed Duel again in like the far distant future. Like if it's still kicking in 2 years and I see something that like really piques my interest, then maybe. I'm never closing off the idea, but unlike Terra Master and Drake here, like I thought the set was cool. I thought they did a lot of stuff right, and if I was just getting into Speed Duel today, this would be like some really exciting stuff, man, because like they put a lot of cool stuff into this set. I didn't even look at the skills, but even ignoring the skills, it's a lot of good cards, which is phenomenal. But for me, like I spent too much time playing Speed Duel and like putting time into formats that I wasn't enjoying anyway, because I was like, well, the next set's gonna do it for me. I know it is. It's gonna happen. That like, even though it's finally happened, I'm just so past that point, and I really can't look at Speed Duel in like a pleasant way at the moment.
Yeah, I get that.
I wish it all the best, like Justice said. Like, I don't want the format to go anywhere. I want it to keep thriving. Like I want it to do better. I want it to start thriving, I should say. It's always existed with like a really niche community, but it'd be cool if it could like pop. And you know, they need to make product that's actually good for it to pop. So
Yep.
yeah, no future curse of playing and never future curse of recording, but that was addressed in my own video, so I won't go into that.
Yeah, I want to echo that. Like we're all really happy for, even if none of us end up playing like super actively, we're all like really happy for those of you that are, because like we know, like from interacting with the community for so long, that like a lot of people really enjoy Speed Duel, right? And have
Yeah.
for years. So like as far as like us go, like with how much fun we like hypothetically in a different universe could have had if say this same box was released a year and a half ago. Like it, I'm really happy that somebody else at least is gonna get to have that, even though I might not. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good vibes all around.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right, what's our next topic there, dude? Drake.
Okay, so I think our next thing is Justice and Terra and some other friends and team members have been playing a lot of Pokemon TCG, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to say anything about that? You've been going to events too, like big events.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just kind of leading into like just our general topic of like what are we doing now, right? Yeah. As far as card games goes, yes, for Terra and for myself, it's been Pokemon TCG. Been having a lot of fun with it. I want to talk about it on its own, but it's kind of hard not to compare to Speed Duel because Speed Duel is what I was doing for card games for years. So like kind of feeling the difference between the two is always like present for me. Pokemon's always a ton of fun. There's always a lot of interesting things. We've also just been really lucky in that like I've been playing Pokemon, like I started playing maybe a year and a half ago ish, somewhere around there. I started playing like competitively about a year ago. But like during that entire time, there's always been like a lot of interesting decks. Like there's been no tier zero format. There's also been no format where nothing is interesting, you know, and even the best deck just doesn't feel good to play. Like there's always been like interesting things going on, different decks to play, different styles you can play that are competitively viable. Lucky's having fun behind me.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Um, like which I think is really important, right? Like because not everyone likes to play any card game in the same way. Like you're never gonna have 100% of people that all want to play a certain type of deck. Like so having different types of decks all be competitively viable is really important. That's always been the, and like I can't speak to the entire history of the Pokemon TCG since like in the grand scheme of things I'm relatively new to it. Like a year and a half is not a really long time to be playing, but at least in the time I've been playing, that's always been the case. Through now two different rotations, which is also like a big deal, you know, which keeps things fresh. Like there's just a block of cards that rotates out every couple of years, right? Like so, or every year. So like this is my second rotation, which is happening now. Actually, kind of like as we're talking, it's about to happen, and already happened on the online client. It's always been the case. I think the product release schedule is on a really good pace. Where like it's steady, but not like Duel Links. You know, like every 3 weeks, here's a brand new box.
It's not like overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it fresh without overburdening you.
Yeah. So like
I actually want to just jump in on your statement there about Pokemon being really fun because obviously I can't talk like you and Terra Master, but I've tried it, right? I've jumped into the Pokemon TCG just to like mess around for a little bit because you know, had some time in between TCGs, and both me and my partner Sarah, we actually love it. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I'm ever gonna play it in like a competitive way, but just it being a TCG that like, I mean, she never enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh at all, right? But like she does enjoy this, and if we both just want to go sit down at the kitchen table and then take out a couple of like fun decks, then we can. And it's really fun. It's really cool. And like you said, there's like most people that know Yu-Gi-Oh know Pokemon, and you all have a favorite Pokemon, and you can build your deck around one of your favorites in some sort of way, decently likely. There's a lot of options. It's really cool. That's all.
And that's nice too. And like the cards themselves, I think, are just like really aesthetically pleasing too.
Yes.
Like, which some people don't care about. Personally, I do. Like that matters for me when I'm playing a card game. I want to like enjoy looking at the cards that I'm playing. It's just a thing. Which like funny enough, like Pokemon is actually a really affordable game. Like especially compared to say like Yu-Gi-Oh, like Advanced Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or something. Like Pokemon's really affordable. I definitely make the game more expensive than it needs to be because I like a lot of the alt arts and whatnot.
But having that
But
option
yeah,
is
like
like so nice.
even the regular arts are still like very aesthetically pleasing. Like they do a great job just with like card design, both from an aesthetic standpoint and just like from a competitive standpoint, like and a casual standpoint too, I guess, because like it's very easy to play the game casually, but there's also a lot going on competitively, and it's also just a really good time to be in competitive Pokemon. Like with this current season, um, which started. Tara, help me out here. September-ish,
Yes.
somewhere around there.
Yes. September exactly. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Look at me go. They increased prize pool for like all their major events. So
Oh,
now
yeah,
like
yeah.
first place at a regionals is $10,000.
That's
And yes,
awesome.
that is actual dollars. That is, not
Right.
not
It's not
you
just
know,
a prize card.
right.
That's
Yeah.
not just a Charizard.
Yeah, it is
That's
not
an
fake,
actual
Giant Charizard?
hypothetical dollars.
It's
It
not
is
store
actual,
credit. Yeah.
yeah,
their
actual
pricing
US
is
dollars.
pricing
But, like,
kind of the
price
best now.
tag, it goes down from there too. Like I think my numbers might not be right here, but I want to say like second place like 7,500, third and fourth is like 5K, something like that.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. And there's also prize support too on top of that. Like you're also getting a ton of booster packs and stuff too, like on top of the cash.
Yep.
So the game is growing at like a crazy rate. Like just as an example, when I went to the Orlando Regionals last February, so just over a year ago, it was at the time the largest Western regionals ever. We had just under 1,500 players in Masters division, which is 16 and up, because it separates by age, so that you're not just beating up on 8-year-olds on our way to trying to win a regionals.
Yeah.
That was the record at the time. This year, we're going to Orlando regionals next month. We fully expect there to be probably about 2,300 players ish, 23, 2,400, somewhere around there. Just 1 year later. Which is like insane. The game is growing at a huge rate. Yeah, it's nuts. I have something else that I want to get to, but Tara, I want to hear your experience a little bit too, because like I'm gonna have food arriving in a minute, which means Lucky's probably gonna bark his head off, so I'm gonna mute once that happens.
Okay.
But yeah, because I have something else I want to get to, but I want to. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna talk now. My food is not gonna be here yet. I've been lied to. It got delayed. The other thing that I want to talk about, and yes, I'm gonna throw some shade here, but I have to. One thing that I've really enjoyed playing Pokemon is the community.
I knew you were going to say that.
The community is by and large absolutely fantastic. It's so much of people who are just all like very much welcoming and much friendlier than like for those who don't know, like before Speed Duel, I played advanced format Yu-Gi-Oh! Like basically from the time it existed up until about 2009. And I did play semi-competitively, like played in locals, played in regionals, like
Hold on,
traveled
hold on. Disclaimer. This is not a personal attack on any one specific person. It is more about the general attitude that we have experienced. And it doesn't mean that it's you who is watching this video. It just means that that's just in general something that has been a lot more common in our Yu-Gi-Oh experience than our Pokemon experience. Disclaimer
Yu-Gi-Oh
finished.
player.
Continue. Yeah.
Only Yu-Gi-Oh player
I
ever had an
see you.
issue with his Ursus.
Honestly.
Don't let it be you. Anyway, I had a lot of good experiences playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say, oh, every person I met was trash. No, I like some of my like good friends right now I met through Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, I'm saying advanced format, like even before I met you
Oh,
guys.
okay.
And obviously, I met a lot of cool people through Speed Duels, including literally like everyone here. The Yu-Gi-Oh community, by and large, though, has a pretty negative reputation, and unfortunately, it's not unwarranted. The biggest example, I think, so I'm gonna bring up two things. just contrasting the communities. And again, as Terra said with his incredibly unnecessary disclaimer, this doesn't mean that every person who plays Yu-Gi-Oh is a bad person or anything like that. There's plenty of great, cool, awesome people who play Yu-Gi-Oh. But there's two things that have come up. One, a while back, at around the same time, both Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon introduced new rules imposing penalties on those who intentionally misgender their opponents. Right?
Yep.
We all remember this.
Yep.
There was so much backlash in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. People up in arms, ready to fight about this. Like, it became a huge story, right? Like, these are just facts. This is what it is. This is not bias. This is just facts. It became a huge thing. In the Pokemon community, and again, there's individuals, so there's no 100% one community, everyone felt this way, and one community, everyone felt that way. It's, it's individuals. But there was so much backlash in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Mostly in the Pokemon community, the response was, okay. Sure, like, not a problem.
Yeah.
And that showed a lot of difference. As I said, the Pokemon community just typically is just a much more like welcoming, inclusive community. And it was funny. There was someone, I'm not even gonna say who it was, just because like I don't think it's a big deal, but just in case, who mentioned to me that like they played in a lot of both Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic a lot over the years. And they attended their first Pokemon regionals, and they noted like there's a lot more diversity here, but in gender, in race, like than they'd ever experienced playing either Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic.
Definitely for gender.
Yes,
Yeah,
and like
100%.
that was a big deal. And the thing is, that's not only because the product itself appeals to more women, it's because the community itself is much more welcoming, and just happy to have, hey, you enjoy Pokemon? I enjoy Pokemon too. Awesome.
It's literally a gag about
Yeah.
like Yu-Gi-Oh players being like weird towards women.
Yeah.
Like that's literally like a joke that people will make videos about.
Yeah.
Right. And like the thing is that a lot of times like places where or spaces or communities where you don't see a lot of women, it's not always because they don't like the product, it's because they don't feel safe or welcome in that community or in that space. And Yu-Gi-Oh definitely has a big reputation for that. Pokemon is a lot more welcoming, which is like, granted, as a straight white male, that doesn't necessarily affect me directly personally, but I'm still like, as someone who cares about these things, I'm happier to be part of a community that has a much better reputation for that. I just feel better being part of that group.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. Pokemon doesn't have to have a hygiene rule. It's understood, brother.
It should just be like unwritten, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Life rule.
But no, talking about like the gender diversity specifically of how Yu-Gi-Oh has the least female players about any card game, percentage-wise. It is in a very low number. It's always nice when you see a female player. Treat them like they're any other player, of course.
Right. Of course.
But I have to wonder, because I am not a woman. I don't know how each individual woman thinks, but I have to wonder if part of it is, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Cursive, but I have to wonder if part of it is because I see when I go to, especially locals, but even regional events and stuff, I see so much of the lewd playmats and deck boxes and field centers. And I have to wonder if that makes some women uncomfortable.
That makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable.
dude,
Yeah, you don't
Same.
have to
Play a card game, bro.
be weirded out by that.
Say.
I think it's I have like there's like a threshold for me where if it's like, oh, okay, you have like a pretty girl on your playmat, cool, good for you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you have like a basically naked girl on your playmat. It doesn't seem to be the place for that, but people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. no,
And
sure.
I'm guessing that isn't allowed in Pokemon because
Right.
they have to be like, no, there's kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pokemon
So that
legitimately
seems-
wants to cater to kids, right? Like.
Yeah, so since they're catering to kids, I think the girls might also feel more welcome.
Right. Well, it fosters a safer, more welcoming environment. But like that's the thing is that so I said it's split up by division, right? So like in Masters, it's 16 plus. So I've played in 3 regionals now. Day one is 9 rounds, and granted, the last one I think I played 6. I dropped after round 6, but like I played, so let's call it 9. I think I played 8 rounds, and the second one was 17, 6, so like 23 rounds. I haven't yet had an opponent that I was like, man, that guy's a dick.
Right.
Like the experience has been so good. Like even when you're like in rounds where it's like you might be starting like 3-0, 4-0, like pressure is on, you really need to perform well. People are still like, hey, like waiting, like when you're setting up, waiting for the start. Hey, man, how's it going? What's your name? Oh, where did you come from? Where did you fly in from? For this, like just talking, like being friendly, like just everyone is, even when they're competing, they're enjoying themselves. And you might think, oh, well, maybe it's just, players who aren't very good, so they don't care that much. Nah, because 2 regionals in a row, I've played against one of the best players in the country. Same guy, somehow. Lost both times because I am in fact not one of the best players in the country. And he's like he's like a little bit more locked in, but like still friendly. Like
Yeah.
still can joke around with him a bit, like while you're playing. Like still a good experience. Like, and that's a huge deal, man. Like, all right, whoever I play against, like, if they're not cool, is like actually surprising.
Yeah.
Like when not being cool is the exception. Like,
On that note, like we've watched streams of regionals and nationals, and like in the finals,
Yeah.
people
They're joking around in the finals.
Yeah, they'd be
people having
joking
fun,
around, laughing, like.
Right.
During a judge call, they're still joking around when one of them might lose the game because of a penalty. Like, it's just a generally more chill vibe, which is like,
right.
it
And again, they
appeals to
have
me.
something to play for. Even just at a regional, again, there's $10,000
Yeah.
on the line. It's not like, oh, well, they're just vibing because it's just Pokemon, so who cares?
Right.
No, there's real money.
The
Like,
same way,
right
like
here.
when I play Edison, like the Edison community, the player base at least, is super chill. And like and that doesn't mean they're more casual and bad at Yu-Gi-Oh. No, like they're smart players playing correctly and being focused on their game. But everybody is like just friendly to each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. Like the experience, because like ultimately that's what's gonna make or break a card game, right? Card game could be the best game ever, but if playing it is a miserable experience because you hate actually having to play against your opponents, like
At your local or whatever.
I mean, community is so important, right? I mean, we've said so many times during the state of like speed podcasts that like if we weren't with Judgment Gaming, we wouldn't have been playing speed duels at that point.
Yeah.
Because
like,
it was with you guys that made it fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I want to. So like to that point, I'm gonna say 2 things. I'm gonna say the nice thing first, then I'm gonna put my villain hat on. Again, there's some really cool people in the speed duel community, and I don't only mean people on Judgment Gaming, to be fair. There's a lot of really cool people in that community that really help drive it forward, that help, try to make it a good place. But look, if you guys were around for my time, especially as a mod, you will know it was my never-ending struggle. It was like whack-a-mole to get people to stop being toxic asshats to each other. And this wasn't just like 1 or 2 people. There was so much. I mean, granted, there were a few people that were way worse, but like it was a lot. It was a lot, and it was honestly one of the things that made me realize that I don't want to do this anymore.
Just to piggyback off that, I think my parting message went parting message, addressing issue in general chat, and then I like got demodded. That's how it went. Like that was my parting message, was not my last message because of this.
Yeah.
So like it was, and like I want to point this out mostly for the humor of it at this point, but like the most recent comment we got, or one of the most recent comments we got on one of our videos, which like Terra will put up on screen at this point during editing
with a pop sound effect.
I calm down.
Really showed like, man, sometimes being part of this community is rough. So like on screen now, hopefully, and you can just see it's like Look, we actually did like somewhat discuss, or especially like I know in my message I talked a little bit about it, but like
Terra Master
people are
Glenn
allowed to move
Campbell's.
on to other things. We're allowed to have other interests in life. And just because I am not necessarily any longer interested in the thing you're interested in doesn't mean I am throwing an adult tantrum. It might just mean that like my interests have changed, you know? Like that happens sometimes. And while I'm always glad that people enjoyed our content and like, you know, it means a lot that like they're sad to like no longer see Terra, myself, you know, Drake, you know, Cursive, whoever else might have been on the channel, like on a regular basis. Having this kind of reaction to it just speaks to a lack of emotional maturity, a lack of understanding of others, that really like perpetuated itself a lot in the community that was really
Yeah.
rough to deal with at times. And again, I will come back and say it. That is not all of the community. That doesn't mean that you watching right now are necessarily part of the problem. Hopefully, you're not. If you are,
If you're watching right now, you're probably not part of the problem.
No, if you're still watching, you're
Yeah,
probably
at
not
this
part of
point,
this.
at this point, yeah.
you're probably cool. You're probably cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Ursus, how's it going, man?
There you go.
But there was a lot, and it was actually like that was actually part of the reason why I wanted to step away. Is I realized it was like just bad for like my mental health to be around like that much negativity, that much toxicity on a regular basis. Because especially as a mod, like I took that shit seriously, and I felt the responsibility to always be involved in everything going on in the server, to like read through everything, not just like do I need to say something, but just to be aware of what's going on, just to be involved with the community.
Yeah.
And it over time became worse and worse for my mental health to like to be part of that.
Speed Duel League had like a bad history though of like kind of like fostering like those like bad vibes in the server, and
Right.
like that's where like a lot of the issues too kind of came from, like from like you know like people you don't want to be around in the Speed Duel community, because there was nothing ever like done, and sometimes there was an outlook of like we don't want to get rid of players in the community, just but like if they're not making new people want to join, then they're not helping the community.
I was going to say that I was guilty of this a little bit or a lot of bit. I don't know. Place the amount of blame on me you will.
All of it.
When I was running the Discord, there was a lot of like times where I would see something where like my instinct would be to call it out, give a warning, you know, take a admin action, right? But there would always be the voice in my head that would say, no, that's one of the most active members of the Discord. That's an active player. That's somebody who enters every tournament. Don't do that. Don't do it. Ah. So I restrained myself from doing things that I probably should have done.
For what it's worth, I actually want to give a real life parallel here and to show that this is not just like a Speed Duel problem or a Yu-Gi-Oh problem. So like I'm now going to shift away and saying that this isn't just about the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Like that shit happened, because I will tell you, for those of you who don't know, I'm a poker dealer. So like, you know, I work in the casino industry, and even before I was a dealer, I worked in the casino industry for years before that. That is a problem there too, where sometimes people get away with shit they really should not be getting away with if they're someone who's there a lot and plays a lot and like knows a lot of people and spends a lot of money there. They'll get away with things that, you know, someone who's a random nobody won't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that kind of like everywhere you go. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think about like situations even like on like the YouTube platform, right? And like certain like larger creators doing things that like they shouldn't do, and YouTube not taking action because, well, you're bringing us in money,
Yeah.
right?
Although I guess Speed Duel didn't really have that excuse. No one was bringing in money.
No. I was getting ready to bring up the fact though. My least favorite thing is when you would address an issue as a mod or an admin, and the community would shit on you for addressing the issue, as if that was like the incorrect approach. Because I've had that happen. You've had that. Like it was the most ridiculous response that it was looked at as the wrong thing to tell people to be civil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was incredibly frustrating.
My experience with that is I was never a mod, but just I was one of the most active posters.
Yeah, and then you were like the first one of us to leave too.
I left many months before I stopped playing Speed Duel, and it was because like this is just not good for my brain.
Yeah.
Like I can still talk to all the people I want to in DMs or whatever. I don't need to interact with these people that are just saying dumb negative things. And I didn't actually feel that way as with Speed Duel as a whole. When I entered events, generally speaking, everyone was cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It was
No,
only
that's
it
true.
was only online in the forums, like in the Discord, that people would get toxic.
Keyboard
And I was like,
warriors.
I was gonna say that.
Okay, I don't need to be a part of this.
Yeah,
So
and like
that's why I
and
love
again, just to contrast, like I'm in a couple different Pokemon communities, so like I can't speak to literally every single because like obviously there's a lot more active Pokemon TCG Discord servers than there are Speed Duels. So like maybe there are some really toxic ones out there. I don't know, but I'm in like a few different ones, and like yeah, every once in a while someone says something that like I don't love, but by and large, I'm gonna say like 98% is just people talking about the game and like being cool with each other and like asking for suggestions and people giving suggestions and giving help and like it's a way more constructive environment that from at least the ones that I'm in, the ones that I've seen.
and just like mentioning like there being other communities. Like I know there's no other real community in Speed Duels now, but when the Curse of YuGiOh Discord server existed and was active, it did not have the level of toxicity that happens in Speed Duel League, which kind of shows that like it can be too how you like foster that community,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
and not just the innate community.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
It's more like a mob mentality thing where like these
Yeah.
individuals aren't gonna do these bad things until they see a bunch of other people doing it, and then they join in.
Right. Yeah. Once you say, "Oh, it's okay," and like,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not getting into specifics. So I don't want to like, get into whatever. But like, we see this in real life a lot, right? Like, once even a small group of people is told, like, "Hey, this thing, yeah, it's okay to do now." Suddenly, like, a bunch of people start crawling out of the woodwork. Oh, I can do this thing that that did make me considered a bad person, but now it's totally cool. Hell yeah!
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do that thing all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I'm gonna step away for a second just to because my food's here. I just want to put it in the fridge. But Tara, just to like keep it moving, not to rehash everything I've talked about. You just want to talk about your experience real quick,
Yeah.
like, with Pokemon.
Yeah. I think there's two big things I want to mention about Pokemon that have made me like commit to it a lot more than like long term, right? First, okay, three things. Right. First, the release schedule, because the most exciting thing about playing a card game to me, and you guys know this from when I was making videos, right, is when new sets come out, right? That's the hype, right? There's new cards, format's going to change, something new, you get to test, you get to play things you've never played before. That's awesome, right? That happened twice a year. And as far as competitive level, are you actually trying to win a tournament or do well? Now go 0-4. There would be like 2 cards per box. That would mean something. So it was like, it might as well have been once a year. Because midterms, let's be honest, didn't really exist, right? At least in our opinion.
Yeah.
So
Right. It had like Drill Warrior
Yeah.
and the Roids.
yeah. So like
Drill
even
Warrior.
Drill Warrior. Whoa, all right, buddy, calm down.
You guys don't remember that?
Yeah.
Remember when they do the random synchros and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Stardust Dragon.
Drill Warrior relevant without tuners.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Remember we joked about that being the biggest troll ever. Give us 1 synchro, no tuners. Anyway.
Just one tuner, no synchros.
Yeah. Oh, that's even better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vanilla tuner, no synchros. Tune
Still
Warrior.
technically playable.
Yep. But yeah, it even with Pokemon's good release schedule generally, like right now, right before the set that just came out, like last week or this week, whatever, there was literally a gap of like 4 months where all we had was like a mini set, which isn't a real set for competitive players, right? It was a set with shiny Pokemon cards, right? Which is great for collectors. Yeah, which is great for collectors and casuals.
Yeah.
But at a competitive level, it did nothing. So we've had essentially a 4-month long format.
Wait, am I trolling? Didn't MuEX come out in 151?
Yeah, I'm not talking about 151. Paldean Fates was the one in January, bro.
Oh, I was thinking about 151.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because like, well, that even that was like a smaller set. Like a lot of reprints, it still gave us like a very good card.
Still give us a card. But yeah, this set gave us like almost nothing. So we've been in a 4-month long format, and I still got really bored of it over the last like 2 months of it, essentially, right? Because one, rotation's coming, so a lot of these cards that we're playing right now, they don't do anything in 2 months, and then two, it's like we haven't had a new set in so long. The format is like it's not completely solved, but everyone has a general idea of what's going on, right? So it's kind of like meh. And then like the next regional we were playing to go to, which is just smooth transition into my point about we're traveling to regionals. Yeah. I get to hang out with Justice for a weekend, okay?
You guys wouldn't come to Niagara with me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah, correct.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
For an event with over 2,000 players, right? Where we're traveling to, we're hanging out, we're playing Pokemon. It's awesome if that's your game of choice, right? Like that's everything. And speaking of a little like small version of that is having locals. I never had a Speed Duel local that was on a weekend, so I wouldn't be like half dead going into it after work. And like more than one option. And close to home.
Speed Duel locals, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Speed Duel local was generally 4 players. We were just playing for fun, but yeah, there was just like, and then there was one we could drive like over an hour to. That was like maybe 15 or 20 players, but the whole over an hour part, we're like, no.
Right? Yeah, and Pokemon has like, there's casual locals. There's a league challenge, it's something that's called, which is like once a month, every store has this more serious local tournament. Then there's a League Cup, which is like the super locals, which is like people will travel 2 to 3 hours to go to those because they're worth like a decent amount of championship points. Not compared to a regional, but overall it's a decent chunk.
Which, like, for those who don't know, like, there's different ways to qualify for Worlds for Pokemon, but one of the ways is, like, through these types of events, you get a certain number of championship points, which will qualify you. Also, just winning a regionals auto-qualifies you. Winning, or getting to the finals of an international championship auto-qualifies you to Worlds, but also you can just, like, if, say, you don't win a regionals, but you do decently, you know, top 32, whatever, like, you get a certain number of points through the league challenges, league cups at your local stuff, you get a certain number of points. So, like, there's different ways of, like, qualifying for Worlds. So, like, that still matters.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Yeah. And I'll say this, though, going to locals, right? It was that when I was starting out, I was in my suck phase, right? Where I wasn't really good at the game. I was terrible at it. But even at that point, losing, after post-game, the opponent would always try to like be like, hey, you know that turn when you made that play? Did you ever think about the fact that like you could have done that instead? Right? They were being helpful. They were trying to make
not in like a condescending way, like, oh my god, you're so stupid. I can't believe you would do that. Like, oh hey man, you know, maybe you want to think about this next time.
Yeah. Whereas as a kid, when I was in my suck phase of YuGiOh, now obviously this is like way before Speed Duels was even a concept. But like when I was in my YuGiOh suck phase, I feel like when you would lose a game to somebody, there would be a lot like, you suck.
They'd
you don't know how to play. Yeah. Like they would kind of like make you, go into clinical depression out of losing a card game, which is a really weird thing.
That's why this video is sponsored by
something that rhymes with Getter Help. What? Anyway, that's not we don't have a real sponsor. But yeah, that was a real positive experience, and that really helped me like go to that locals every week, right? Learn, buy stuff from the local, which like the professor that's what the TOs are called, like likes me now because I'm one of the regulars, right? Knows me by face and name. I spend money at the store. I go there to show up to play every week. That it's not this current format, which is boring. So I haven't been going as much lately. There's 2 reasons for that. One is the format, and the other is what we're working on. We'll get there. And
So just before I forget, and sorry to anyone listening to this podcast, I'm sure you don't care. Have you called to like ask if they are running like current format, just like locals? Because I know a lot of places are.
They
I actually plan
haven't
on
they haven't announced
mine.
it on their Discord, so I assume not. Because last time they did when they were doing
Okay,
that. So
gotcha.
yeah,
Anyway, sorry guys, just didn't want to forget. Please continue.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the first thing is regional. The second thing is locals. So I think that's all just like community, right? Real people, meeting people, sitting down at a table and playing somebody face to face. Like I hadn't experienced that with a card game for years
I
because
gotta
I
say, like the
yeah.
regionals experience is incredible. And honestly, though, that's not Pokemon exclusive. Like when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Advanced Form back in the day, I loved going to regionals for that too. Um, but like, yeah, like yes, you can go to YTSs for speed duel, but that is not the same. Like, let's be real, that is not the same as playing in, like I said, like a 2,000 player event. Like,
Right.
But I did get a giant rainbow dragon
No,
that
no, no.
might have somehow made its way to DG Kun, which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
No, the price support for the Speed Duel YCS is still very cool, but the
yeah,
experience is not the same as playing in the main event
right.
Yeah,
by
of
any
course.
Like,
means,
yeah,
right?
I love that we're doing like a few a year, really, like, you know, events, and just like being in that environment and playing that. Like honestly, I missed that. Like that is one of the things I really miss from my Yu-Gi-Oh days. Like my advanced format days, is that, and like, yeah, it's so cool, man. I
Yeah.
love being there. It's so awesome.
Yep.
Should we go to our next topic?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have one more bigger topic, and that's Cursive and Terra Master's next project. What are you guys doing?
Start us off, bro.
What's up, blind zombies? Dude, me and Terra Master got blind zombie games, ladies and gentlemen. This is essentially, speaking of Pokemon, it's Pokemon, but it's the video game side of things. We're doing Nuzlocks, Then We Battle content, which if you don't know what Then We Battle content is, it's basically just randomized starters, and there's a cute gimmick to like how you choose out of your 3 random starters, and then you have a fun little fight at the end with random abilities. So it just kind of spices it up. It's super cute, and we've been putting a lot of effort into this. We put like 2 months of research into like YouTube growth prior to. We spent like a month coming up with like concept thumbnails and titles. We were polling Team JDG on which ones they liked the best. Justice loaned us his Premiere Pro account. And yeah, we've been putting in like it's become like a second job, right?
Oh yeah.
And yeah. And our first video actually like genuinely popped. It's currently sitting at 1,400 views.
And if you are not one of those views, fix that.
It's literally
Oh,
go
look
watch
at
it.
that.
Get a card. Get a card in the video right now.
Yeah,
I
there's
know Terra Master is going to put a link to that channel in the description box.
Yeah, the
if you
link
wanna
to channel
check that out.
description. A card should have popped up when Justice said the word card.
Yep.
And,
Are you timestamping these, Terra Master? Like this is gonna help you.
nah, timestamps
I
are
think
for
we all know
real.
he is not.
The timestamps are for real editors like Cursive. I don't need that.
Yes, of course. But yeah, no, it's been a really fun adventure so far. It hasn't even been 2 weeks, and yeah, we're having a blast.
Yeah.
Terra Master?
I want to use this as a callback to this is not easy. Okay. I used to have this misconception too. Drake and I just talked about this last night.
Yeah.
Where like this stuff is not easy. Like the amount of time that goes into planning a video, right? Like even with the series we're doing, what game are we playing? When are we recording? Okay, then all the stuff Cursive talked about, all the research that goes into it, all the money we spent on the art for the channel. A lot goes into it, and it's not just playing the game. I said this to Drake yesterday, is about 20% of it. Right?
Yeah.
The fun part of the job that everybody sees is about 20% of it. Managing the socials, all the hours and hours and hours of editing that goes into this. That playing the game is 20%. Because even playing the game, we have to prep for every single thing that we're doing. We have to make sure we never get low energy, because if we do, that's boring. And we can't have that. right?
Like, dude, no. Can I just talk about then we battles, okay? Like how, like, from the viewer's
Oh my
perspective,
God.
it's just turn around. Here's your starters. Pick one, right? But from our perspective, like, we did it based on like Pokemon's locations in the game, right? So it'd be turn around. Okay, Terra Master, give me a second. Let me look up the locations of all your Pokemon. Okay, I got them all. All right, are you ready? You ready? Okay, cool. Your first one is Mount Coronet, and then you go through all that, and then you have to go load up the next randomized file and the next random. Like, it literally took us 2 hours just to record like a 20-minute segment.
And that's after we figured out how to get the game to run smoothly.
Yeah.
So when it was randomized, because at one point, instead of random Pokemon, I was seeing eggs. So that's really
battle. Go.
go egg. Yeah. So that didn't really do anything. So yeah, there's a lot of technical stuff to sift through. I accidentally deleted a file for one of our videos that's already up. So I had to like recreate it based on what I was saying in my face cam footage. So like there's a lot that can easily go wrong. And the fun part of it is, like I said, like it's just a small piece of it. The rest of it is like it's all work. That's why I've had such little free time for like even Pokemon. Like Justice mentioned, we're going to Orlando Regionals in a few weeks, and I've already said this to him. I am fully aware of the fact that I'm going to be underprepared, and that's okay because this Pacific Regionals, I'm in it for the love of the game, and it's okay. So I don't mind that at all. Is there a chance I could still get lucky and do well? Yeah, of course, but it's not. I'm not gonna blame myself for it at all because I just didn't practice enough because I'm taking Blind Zombie games seriously, as is Cursive. Cursive hasn't had time to do anything. Tell about how you haven't had time to do stuff.
Yeah, no, I like genuinely all my free time goes into like doing this now. Not working a full-time job, but I'm a full-time student, right? So if I'm not doing homework in some regard or at university classes, then I'm here and I'm either doing research on YouTube or other socials like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or I'm editing. And like this last week, it was a super busy like school week for me. I had like midterms and stuff like that. And then Thursday, I woke up at 5 a.m. because I had nothing edited. I started editing at 6 a.m. and I did not stop editing until 11 p.m. at night to have that whole video done and ready to go for Friday. And I still didn't have the intro for the video done, but I need to upload the rest of it so Terra Master could review it, tell me any changes that need to be made, and then the next morning woke up at 5 a.m. again to do the intro and then get the video up. Crazy.
I want to jump in real quick though, because I want to say that the effort shows. Like, you know, I watched through the first video and I was legitimately impressed. Like, you guys are doing an amazing job. So like the fact that you are putting in that much time and effort is not surprising to me because I really think it comes across in how seriously you're taking it and how much you want the project to succeed. And
legit.
And yeah, so I want to give you guys credit for it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. But like legit today, before we started recording this, Cursive and I were talking about why our second video didn't do as well as our first video.
Yeah.
We changed the thumbnail. We changed the title after we brainstormed multiple thumbnails and multiple titles, not just today, but like throughout the last couple of days. Like, that's all that's on my mind half the time. It is hard for me to like focus on work at work sometimes. So yeah, we're taking this about as seriously as you can while being committed to school and a full-time job. So yeah, any support would be awesome. Obviously, if that's not your thing, you don't like that type of content, you know, then you don't. That's just it is what it is. But if you do, if that's at all your vibe, Pokemon video game Nuzlock content, then go ahead. Go over there and help us pop a little bit.
I think there's a really important question here that needs to be asked, guys.
What's that?
How do we come up with the name?
Oh.
That is a good question.
Terra Master, I think this one's for you. This one's
Yeah. All right. So I was streaming. I don't remember. It was one of our Speed Duel tournaments. Was it just a weekly? I don't know.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And it was you, Cursive, right, who brought this deck that had like level 3 vanillas, right? Must have been Fitting Room or something.
Yeah,
And
I think where it actually started, I think we seen like the flavor text recording a series that never came out.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
recorded a Phantom series in another universe. But then it came up again on stream, and it's the card Armored Zombie. Okay, 1500 attack, 0 defense, as so eloquently pointed out by Yugi to Joey in episode whatever of Duelist Kingdom. They've got no defense, Joey. But the flavor text on that says it's a blind zombie that swings wildly, right? So we had
something
like,
along those lines.
yeah, Cursive and I had such a like laugh about that, and then it was shortly after that. Now this is years ago. Like we were not taking Blind Zombie games seriously for a while after its creation. We created the channel, and we're like, what do we call it? And we had this other really old Speed Duel joke called like still on those crosswings, because Cursive loved playing Phantom Beast Crosswing in his Phantom Beast deck. So I was like, Crosswing Gaming. He's like, nah, that sounds stupid. But me, I wanted to name it after a meme. Like I was determined,
Yes.
you know. So I was like
Classic
listing
Terr
off,
Master.
right? Yeah, I was like listing off meme after meme, and I was just like blind zombie games, and he was like, yeah, that's it, that's the one. So yeah, there we are. We are blind zombies, and we're gonna mess up a lot. Trust me, it's already happened.
Yeah,
So-
we started 2021. I just checked.
Jeez,
That's when it actually started, and like you said, not taking it seriously then.
We've
But
been swinging wildly since.
Yep, we've been swinging wildly since. We're hoping to finally have hit something.
Follow-up question: what the hell is a Phantom Beast?
see, I actually have an emote on the Cursive Twitch account. It's like he's the little like yellow winged phantom beast.
Yeah, I can see it in my head. It's like an eagle.
I got him in
or
a
something.
trash can, right? Because
Yeah,
that's part
yeah.
of the gag.
Yep. But
All
yeah,
right.
that's that. So those are my two things. Pokemon has become my life now. It's TCG whenever Justice is around to test with for Orlando, and everything else is Blind Zombie games. So,
Yeah.
you guys have anything else you want to touch on?
I do.
Talk.
Nothing. I have one more sizable one, but I'm the only one talking about it, so it shouldn't go by too slowly. But I've been playing Edison for pretty much the last year. And it's funny because Tara's like, oh, I get bored when we don't get new cards in a format. It's like the opposite for me somehow, where I really love just working with a fixed set of cards and just working around the meta of, okay, what are other people playing? Okay, what can I do to combat what they're playing? How can I go beyond and predict and make a deck that answers the meta? Even though it's the same cards. The same cards will always be legal in Edison, and you, in theory, could play this game for 20 years if you wanted to, and it would just keep evolving, and the meta would just keep shifting. But no, I've been having a ton of fun with it. It's a lot more complex than Speed Duel was at least a year ago. So there's really just like really just so much to learn. And what was it, 15 years ago about is when Edison was actually the advanced format, the current format. And during the time I was young and I didn't know about, I can chain block, I can make things miss timing.
I don't think anyone's listening to what you're saying right now, and it's Cursive's fault.
It's that dog. But no, like I'm learning all these things in 2023 and 2024 about, chain blocking and making things miss timing and just like countering opponents' plays and stuff. That when I was a kid, I didn't think about any of that. When I was a kid, I thought, okay, I'm gonna summon JD. It's a powerful effect, it's 3,000 attack, and that's like the end of my thought pattern back then. But yeah, you can really, really dive in deep to deck building and gameplay.
Dude,
Even though, like,
that's been my Yu-Gi-Oh thought pattern forever. Summon big monster attack. Why are you doing anything else?
well, you can still do that, but
Yeah.
I like to. Like I know DG Kuhn's also like this, where he likes to like analyze every single card choice, like to make sure his 20 in his case or whatever, or my 40 is like, okay, this is the exact 40 cards I want to be playing,
Yeah.
and have a plan of what cards am I putting in and what cards am I taking out, not only in each matchup, but if I'm going first or second. Does my style shift in different matchups? Like, okay, do I be more aggressive against certain decks, less aggressive against other decks? Like knowing if you're the beatdown. It's like that's like a famous article from Magic. But yeah, no, there's a ton. And then again, like with that as in community, I mentioned this earlier, it doesn't feel toxic at all. It feels very welcoming, especially in person. But like everybody's just like there to have a good time. They're just playing a format they enjoy. Where I think advanced, it's a little different because like obviously the people playing advanced enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Do they?
However, most of them do. But however, they might not enjoy the exact meta they're in, but they're forced to be in it because they are an advanced format exclusive player. So they're
Force
like, okay,
F.
the last one was good. The next one's probably going to be good, and I'm stuck in this in between one that I don't enjoy. Well, you never get stuck in that if you're like, well, I like Tengu format, so I'm just going to play Tengu format, or I like Edison, or I like Goat, or I like Hat, or whatever. You can just find the format you like and play it, and you're always having a good time. Which one?
Goat format sucks.
Oh, I'm not a fan anymore either, but
Yeah, trash format.
other
playing
people
a
love it.
format that
Other
has
people love it.
Duo in it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Literally
that,
has to
that describes the format, right? Is delinquent.
I mean, that's part of it. It actually has Cyber Sign, which is a little more wild than even Duo, but yeah. Yeah, I've been playing like Winamats and locals and stuff like that, just having a good time with it. Just having fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Dude, just having fun is like always the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right. But I personally get a lot of my fun from being competitive.
There you go.
But I want to do that in a format that's already fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if the format's already fun and I'm being competitive, okay, I'm like maximizing my fun. Or I can go play a format I don't enjoy, like Goat, just as an example. And it'll be fun to compete, but I'm not having fun naturally. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to like point out too, just like really quickly to your point. It is actually one of the things that I enjoy about Pokemon too is like really diving deep on the competitive aspect of it. So like there's two things. Like I think people have this like misconception that Pokemon is like literally the embodiment of children's card game. You know, and it's just super simple and like, you know, because you don't have, you know, chain blocking. I know you don't play a bunch of cards in your opponent's turn. But like when you actually start diving into the game, you realize how like actually deep you can go. And like there is such a chasm of skill level in between the really good players and just like the decent players. Like it shows you like just how much can go into like really playing the game competitively and like actually getting good at it. And like I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely easier to get into because like the mechanics of the game are easier to understand. So like you can just play casually. And like Cursive said, like, you know, he and his partner can just play sometimes, just play for fun. I'm like, that's awesome.
Drake said
like,
this to me yesterday too. It's like the more you get good at a card game, the more you understand that you're not that good.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's a lot of things, honestly. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah. You could apply that to most things in life, but absolutely, the more I learn about like just Edison, for example, because that's what I've been playing lately, the more I'm like, oh man, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And you can be like, oh, this format's 15 years old, and I'm like, I could learn about it for the next 100 years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I bet that applies to Pokemon and Advanced and everything else, right?
Yeah, and it's something that I really enjoy. Plus, there's also like there's a lot of really good resources for learning about Pokemon, like the basics, of course. But when you really want to start diving deep, I'm gonna shout out Limitless TCG. Like, God, you can spend so much time on those, like just like going over events, going over people's deck lists, like both for like physical tournaments, online tournaments. They even started introducing Japan's tournaments just because like they get their cards in format quicker than we do. So like you can be prepared for the format even before it comes in. Shout out to Robin over at Limitless because damn, the work that he puts in is insane.
Yeah.
But like there's other websites too that are really good. Like there's so many resources available to like really take that deep dive. And that's something that I felt like was really missing from Speed Duel. Like, obviously, you know, some of us, we tried to be some of that, and we tried to provide some of that, but, like, there's only so much we can do. The amount of resources that are available for Rogue One has been really awesome for me. Like, I can literally just spend hours going over stuff if I want to.
And it's
So, like,
growing.
try to
The
find
amount
out,
of
like-
resources available is growing.
Yes. Yeah.
I have an example of how, like, there's always something to learn, right? So in Edison, Gores is legal and competitive. And I just want to, like, have you guys guess, I guess would be the word, of what do you think would be correct to do here? If mostly in a vacuum, but you control a 1500, a 1600, and a 1700 monster. That is your board.
Yeah.
Your opponent, we're trying to play around Gores as best as possible. Which monster do you attack with first?
I mean, I was definitely conditioned to attack with the lowest attack first.
Yeah.
Same.
We were all wrong, but so was I. So you actually attack with the middle one first, because a good player is going to drop a Gores on the first one, and it's going to block the second two attacks. So if you attack with the middle one first, you're dealing the most damage and still attacking over the token with the biggest one. And then obviously attacking with the biggest one is the worst thing you can do, because then they just get a bigger token.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all thought, like, oh, we attack low to high, right?
Right. Yeah.
Not if you have 3 monsters. So it's like there's always something you can learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did
There's
not come
always
up with
a-
that.
There's
But,
always a new situation, right? Which is why, like, my lack of practice for this next regional is I know it's gonna hit me, because, like, even if I understand the deck I'm playing on a basic level, I understand the basic matchup I'm in, there's going to be a situation at a regional in a best of 3 set where, like, oh, I've never seen this before,
Yeah.
right? Because I've only practiced like 12 games instead of 1200, right? So, and what do I do in that situation? The heat of the moment, maybe I misplay, and that's why I lose, right? So that's where it's going to be like, yeah, there's always something to learn. You could play 1200 games, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the more games you can put in, the better. Obviously, again, assuming your opponents are also decent,
Right.
or better than you is the dream. But as good as you or close to you,
Yeah.
if that's the best you can
Yeah.
get in your opponent, that's fine.
yeah.
No, the thing that made me grow in really any format I've ever played the fastest is try to only play one deck if you can. But the less decks you play, the better, because you're going to find out the ins and outs of that deck and how it interacts with every other deck.
Yeah.
So you know, if I played 10 different decks and got 10 games in with each of them, I have a little bit of knowledge about 10 decks. Cool.
Right.
Or if I just played 100 games with that one deck, I've made so much progress.
I feel like you can
So-
make arguments though that it's important to explore like the rest of the meta to some regard, so you have an understanding of like the ins and outs of that
Yeah.
deck to a degree,
I very
right?
much make that argument. I think it's absolutely important to at least like play a few games, like
Yeah.
with a deck that you have no intention.
Right. You should.
expect to play against it, because like it's so easy from the outside looking in to either be like, oh, that deck is trash, doesn't do anything, or oh, that deck is
Yeah.
busted, like it's always doing everything it wants. I hate playing against it. And then you play and you realize, oh wait, actually there is like a fail case. Like no,
Yeah.
it doesn't just auto win all
If
the
you just
time.
do this,
Yeah. So
No,
like,
exactly.
understanding more of what your opponent is trying to do helps you when you're playing against it. Like pretty
You're
soon.
definitely right. You should play a few matches with like all of the meta decks.
Yeah.
But what I mean is when you actually go to be like, okay, I want to start winning. Now that I know what your cards, I've read all your cards, I've played with all your cards. Now I want to start winning. That's when you narrow it down to 1 or 2 decks.
Oh yeah, I
Because
mean,
I-
the majority of your time should be spent like on that deck once you've narrowed it
Yep.
down, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you were just saying like just including that there is value to like playing other decks.
Yeah. There's absolutely value in understanding how the other decks work, for sure.
Yeah.
Just once you know how the other decks work, don't divide your time between 5-10 decks still.
Right. Yeah.
That's just you're filling each cup a little bit, right? Instead of filling one cup all the way.
Yeah.
But that's
speaking of like practicing like matches though, and like, you know, running into matches that you don't know and that messing you up a lot, really enjoy watching Wolfie VGC on YouTube for like competitive Pokemon video game, and because he always like, I mean, he's probably just the best player in the game, and he always just brings like unique Pokemon, and it's really cool to watch him like mess up other players because he rolled up with a Flamigo and who's prepped against the Flamigo team. But it's also cool to watch him get completely obliterated because somebody else rolled up with a Jigglypuff team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
Yeah, somebody else rolled it with the Lucas.
with the Lucas. There you go.
No, that's all. That's all really good advice. Something I've found all that to be true. And Wolfie's basically mainstream, dude. Wolfie's awesome.
Yeah, Wolfie's so good.
He will explain everything though in a way that like even me who has never played competitive Pokemon before can understand. So
I
it's just
know,
like
right?
I was like, yeah, you're really good at explaining your plays too, which I think is a unique skill. Which
It is.
yeah,
Knowing how to do something and then actually like knowing how to explain it, two different things.
yeah.
100%.
I have more, and these are just rapid fire.
More, brother.
I'm sorry, I wrote a lot of things down.
Can't stop
Okay,
it.
but people must know, and
All right,
they're gonna get shorter and shorter. Don't worry. Some games I've been playing lately. If you're looking for a mobile game, try Marvel Snap. Very fun.
I've been playing that like not lately. That's been ages.
Okay, it's been out for over a year, but that's my mobile game. I always have a mobile game. Okay.
Man said leave.
Slay the Spire, that game came out. I couldn't even tell you when that came out. 2016, 2017. But that's a really cool game, Steam or Switch. That is a roguelike deck building game. So if you like deck building games, I would try that out.
It's
Into the Breach.
actually-
Yeah, no. Justice is a lot better at it than me at Slay the Spire, because he actually like takes his time and reads his cards. But yeah, no, we had a lot of fun with that one. And then one I really like is called Into the Breach. It's sort of like fun. That one also is on Steam and Switch. The one I recently got is called, I think it's called Balatro, like Balatro.
Oh,
The
hey.
end of the video.
I'm
Did you
good.
know
The
that?
end of the video already.
Okay, cool. Did you do your outro, Justice?
Yes,
you do...
I did.
Okay. All right. Editor Terra Master saying bye.
You're a little late there, Editor Terra Master.
No, he's gonna edit it in.
Yeah, he'll just like cut it so it, like just his section though, like crop it out, put it there. He'll be a part of it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
Well,